YouTube, what's going on? It's Adam here with Retro Repairs, and time for another repair video. So as you can see right here, what we've got is Conker's Bad Fur Day. Recently picked this up in a mail day video, so this was mail day number 7. Kona's checking it out. I think she likes Conker's. Mail day 7, which I just uploaded recently, and this was sold as not working. I believe I got it for about 30 bucks. So first thing, let's just see what happens when I throw her in the old N64. Power, no signal. Still no signal. So let's open this up, clean it up, and see what might be the issue. All right, so let's crack this guy open and take a look at the board here. So just looking at the case itself, it's clearly not in the greatest shape. Case is a little bit yellowed, as you can see the actual gray color underneath where the label would have been. So yellowed case, ripped up sticker, worn front stickers. So I mean, not great shape, but still a great game. So definitely worth trying to save. So we got the 2 game bit screws on the back that we need to remove. There we go. It's a little stuck together. And okay, so these screws are missing, so someone's clearly been in here before. I see some rust on this shielding, so that's something that could definitely be affecting this. And then the most common culprit here are bad traces. So let's put this off to the side for now and examine the board. So we're going to zoom way in for this. There we go. So the most frequent point of failure on these is these traces right along here. You can see right there where this one seems to have been worn pretty well. There's a couple here that don't look too great. These sometimes can cause issues. And then flipping it over on the other side, we've got more of the same. So right there, there's some wear, there. So let's, I'm gonna grab my multimeter. And where's the other probe? There it is. So we're going to test continuity on this. So what happens when I connect the probes? I should get a beep. Just like so. So going to start from the bottom here and work my way up and try and find where this might have a connection. Okay, so this one's good. This one should connect right in here. That one's good. This one. So you get the idea. I'm going to go through until I find a trace that might be broken somewhere. And I might have just found it. So this trace right here is broken. That didn't take very long at all. So I need to get something to scrape away some of that solder mask, and we're going to find exactly where that break is. All right, so I'm going to check out this trace right here, which I feel is not in good shape. So getting a bit of a continuity there, but nothing further up. So I'm just going to scrape away a little bit of that trace. Okay, so let's see if this shows through. So that break is right here. So we need to just jump that with a little piece of wire. Okay, so we want to really just jump all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape off a bit more. So I've got lots of trace showing. I'm going to clean that off with some alcohol and a Q-tip. Okay, I'm gonna get my soldering iron all heated up and ready to go. Okay, So now what I need is flux. I'm going to add some flux to that trace. The flux is going to help the solder really grab onto that. And just going to take my soldering iron, adding a little bit of solder to the tip here. I'm going to run it along. So you'll note that the solder has not actually bridged that. I've just put some solder on there. I'm going to actually complete the bridge with a little piece of wire. So I have some very small gauge wire. So for this repair, I have some really small gauge wire. This is, I believe it's 23 gauge wire, and I like to use 2 strands. Sorry, this is 23 gauge stranded wire. So I like to take 2 strands and twist them together. So I'm not positive what gauge this ends up being, but it's definitely sufficient for this kind of work. So let's add a little bit of flux onto here. Get my soldering iron all ready. I'm going to flux up the wire itself. I'm going to grab some solder on my tip and then lay it in place. Lay down some solder. Oops. Just got to be kind of careful. It likes to come off as soon as you heat it up. Okay, so let's test that with the multimeter again and see if I can get this to get continuity somewhere. So I should get it up to the top. I do, and it's right there. Cool. So let's clean that repair up with some alcohol. And then, where are my side cutters? Literally just had them. There they are. So I'm using side cutters. We want to try and find the end of this and just cut it off. Okay, and then same thing at the bottom here. There we go. So that should be a completed repair on that trace. Let's test continuity again. That's good. So I'm going to keep checking for any more broken traces. So I've tested the rest of these and they all come back good. So we are getting full continuity across all the remaining traces. So let's just do a final quick cleanup on this board. So just going to use Q-tips, rubbing alcohol, and just clean these pins as best as we can. And the flip side, same thing. All right, so let's throw this back in the shell and see what we've got. I'm gonna clean up this board a bit. Or the mat, sorry. There we go. Okay, so put this on. This should go right like so, I believe. Come on. It's backwards. There we go. And the top one. And I'm just going to kind of lay this in place. I'm not done yet, because I still need to clean the shell itself, but this will just determine if that repair was sufficient or not. There we go. So back to the N64, let's see what we got. Alright, so we're going to test this out, see if this has fixed that issue. So in there, power on. So we're just getting a black screen right now, but we're not getting the no signal. So now no signal. Oh, still no signal. Nada. So maybe another broken trace that we got to find in there. I did check the ones going from the pins up to the chips, but there's a lot of traces going from chip to chip that might be an issue as well. Okay, so I've gone and I've inspected every trace. So the ones going from here to here, from there to there, from the pins up, and they all seem to be fine. So there is one quick little test I want to do, and that's just giving these a more thorough clean, because I did the alcohol clean, but they're still not great, as you can see. Quick little tip is just a pencil eraser. They work great. You just start at one of them, go up and down, and you're just trying to work off any gunk, residue, that type of thing. I don't know if you can really capture it in the camera, but these 4 that I've done are much cleaner than the rest of them. So I'm going to keep doing this, and then we're going to test once again with the repaired trace that I've already done, just to see if that happened to fix the issue. Okay, and then just going to clean that up with some more alcohol. Just get the residue from the pencil eraser off. Those are already looking considerably better. So throw that back in the shell, and one more test. The shell is in rough shape. There we go. All right, let's check her out. Okay, so this is test number 2, Conker's Bad Fur Day. In she goes. Still nothing. Oh, there we go. So I had to actually kind of hold it forward. And if I release it, it still seems to be okay. So that tells me that it's still an issue just with those pins. Let's try again. There we go, for mature audiences. So let's try take it out, put her in, on she goes. Nothing. Lean it forward, on, still nothing. And now it works. And then nothing. All right, so that tells me that something on the back side is not getting a connection properly. So let's take a look again. Okay, so as I mentioned, when I pulled it forward, it started working sometimes. So my belief is that something on the back side of these pins is intermittently connecting. So let's take a further look. And the reason I say the back is because I find when you push forward, the cartridge actually sort of pivots right on the shell here. So it will go like that and give more pressure to the backside, if that makes sense. All right, so let's see what we've got here. So really nothing looks out of the ordinary. So what I think I'm going to do is reflow all of these chips first. Just want to rule out the possibility that the pressure is kind of completing a circuit on one of these. So all I really just need for that, I like to use a little bit of flux on each of these solder points. There we go. Let's zoom in so you can look at the solder. And then really reflowing these is very simple. Put some solder on your tip and then, oops, there we go. You'll see that when I touch it, the solder immediately melts and then reforms. Sorry, I'm trying to watch through my camera and doing a sloppy job as a result. All right, so that should be all right. Let's give it a quick, just want to give it a quick inspection just to make sure that all those connections are good. So I have this little, I like to use this, just a little jeweler's loop, and I don't think you're going to be able to see much through this, but I can. So I just want to make sure that there's no bad solder joints. There's no bridging as well. Don't want any pins touching other pins. And it appears to be okay. Okay, good. So let's just clean this board. We want to get the old solder off. Gonna give these pins one more little buff up. And then another clean. And in case I was wrong with my guess about it being the back, I'm just going to do the front as well. All right, so back into the shell and one more test, and if this doesn't work, I have one final thing I want to try. All right, so this is test number 3, I think, of Conker's Bad Fur Days. So we've done a thorough cleaning, reflowed the chips, and repaired that broken trace. So let's throw her in and see what happens here. And there we go, first try, we've got it booting up. So let's make sure we got sound in the whole 9 yards here. There we go. We have Conker's Bad Fur Days. So I'm going to try that just a couple times. I want to make sure that it's actually going to be a reliable fix. Yeah, so far so good. One more try. Yeah, looks like we're good. So that's going to be pretty much it for this video. One thing I do want to do to this still is swap out that shielding inside the cartridge, just because it's in pretty rough shape. Rather than trying to reverse the rust and scrape it off and that, I'll just get new shielding for it. But I'm not going to do that in this video. I'd also like to clean up the shell a little bit. But that's going to be it for this particular video. So hopefully you found it interesting. Be sure to leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel. Be among the first to find out when I release new content. And thanks a lot again for watching. We'll see you next video.